The day I told my wife I lost my job, she filed for divorce, and my daughter said, "You're useless to us now, Dad." They kicked me out, but they didn't know I had just received $8 million. 3 days later, I had 175 missed calls. Chapter 1. You're useless to us now, Dad. There's something about losing your job that makes the world feel quieter. The day I came home and placed the severance envelope on the kitchen counter, I didn't say anything dramatic, no self-pity, no excuses, just a soft, tired line. "I lost the job today, Claire." My wife didn't even pause while stirring the pasta. She didn't ask why or how I was feeling. She just blinked once and said, "So, what now? You expect me to support you?" I stood there, unsure if I heard her right. It had only been 3 hours since I left the firm, a place I'd helped build for 14 years. 14 years of 70-hour weeks, cross-country flights, and missed birthdays. And this is how it started unraveling. She walked to the drawer, pulled out a manila envelope, and slid it across the table like a waitress delivering a check. "I was going to wait till your birthday next week, but I'm done waiting." I opened it, divorce papers already signed, dated, filed. She must have prepared them weeks ago. "You're not the man I married anymore," she added, crossing her arms. "I need someone who can keep up." Then came the final blow. Our daughter, our 17-year-old Emily, walked in, saw the paper, and asked what was happening. When I looked at her, eyes full of ache and confusion, she said flatly, "So, no more job? Then you're kinda useless to us now, Dad." I don't know what hurt worse, the words or how quickly they came. No emotion, just rejection, as if I were expired milk left too long in the fridge. I nodded slowly, didn't scream, didn't cry. I picked up the envelope, walked to the front door, and asked just one question. "Do you want me gone tonight?" Claire didn't hesitate. She tossed me a suitcase she'd already packed. What they didn't know was this. Just 12 hours before I was laid off, I signed the quietest, most lucrative licensing deal of my life from an app I'd built in secret over weekends and sleepless nights. $8.3 million already wired, already cleared. I wasn't broke, I was free, and it was time to let them bury themselves in the lies they thought they got away with. Chapter 2. 3 days of silence, then 175 missed calls. 75. I spent that first night in a hotel overlooking the city. No alcohol, no rage, just silence. The kind that feels earned after years of noise. I watched the lights flicker across downtown and remembered how many birthdays I'd spent in boardrooms trying to build a future for a family that now treated me like dead weight. But now I had something far more powerful than a corner office. Freedom and 8 million. The hidden life they ignored. What Claire and Emily never cared to ask was what I'd been doing every weekend locked away in my garage tinkering. They assumed I was fixing junk or wasting time. In truth, I'd been quietly developing a B2B logistics optimization tool. Boring to them, maybe, but not to the mid-sized firms that saved hundreds of thousands in shipping delays. The day before, I was laid off. One of those firms made an offer to license my tool exclusively for North America. $8.3 million up front. That severance package I received, it was a relief, not a tragedy. Now it was time to play the long game. The first move, letting them win. Claire filed for divorce, assuming she'd be walking away with full custody of Emily, 60% of our assets, the house, and spousal support. From a man she thought was desperate, I didn't fight it, I signed every paper, didn't ask for custody, didn't contest the asset split, let them take the house, let them believe I was broken. I wanted them to relax, to celebrate, to get comfortable in their supposed win. And just as expected, on day 3 they did. The celebration that lit the fuse. That afternoon, Claire hosted what she called a New Beginnings brunch. Photos surfaced online, posted by her sister. Claire toasting champagne in the backyard. I built my daughter Emily showing off her freedom ring, a diamond band Claire bought her as a gift to mark moving on from toxic men. And worst of all, a man I didn't recognize, late 30s, gym-built, smug Claire's boyfriend, already moved in, the caption, "A new chapter begins, looks blessed." I smiled, perfect. They just handed me the ammo I needed. Time to pull strings. That night, I made 3 calls, my lawyer to fast-track the asset reevaluation I had purposely held off on, a private investigator to trace every digital transaction, photo, and document involving Claire and her boyfriend during our marriage, my real estate broker, to prep a quiet purchase of the property surrounding the house Claire now thought was hers. By the next morning, I had legal proof of infidelity dating back months before she filed for divorce. I also had access to the house deed's fine print. Turns out Claire forgot the house was in a family trust. My family's trust, not marital property. Then came the calls. 3 days after I'd left without a word, my phone buzzed once. Then again, then non-stop. Claire, Emily, Claire's sister, Claire's new boyfriend, voicemail after voicemail, text after text, panic, desperation, screaming, crying, begging, 175 missed calls. Why? Because that morning, Claire woke up to a sheriff and a locksmith at the door, an official eviction notice, her credit cards frozen, and a lawyer's letter stating, due to breach of contract and concealed infidelity, your settlement is now void. I didn't reply. I just texted Claire one line, "You're not useless. You're just someone else's problem now." Chapter 3. The fallout was instant and brutal. By the fourth day, the silence on my end had become deafening, and that terrified them more than any shouted threat ever could. Claire sent a voice message, her voice trembling. "We need to talk. I think maybe we went too far. Can we just please call me?" Emily left a single text. "I didn't mean what I said. I was angry. Please, Dad. I'm sorry, but it was too late." Legal dominoes begin to fall. That same morning, my lawyer filed a motion to nullify the divorce settlement, citing intentional fraud and concealed infidelity. Alongside it, he included timestamped social media photos and financial documents showing Claire had used our joint funds to secretly support her boyfriend while we were still legally married. Next came the eviction order. Legally enforced because the house was not marital property, it was owned by the family trust. The moment Claire moved in a non-family member, her boyfriend, she violated the occupancy clause. By noon, the sheriff changed the locks. Their lives started unraveling fast. Claire's boyfriend, smug in the brunch photos, was publicly humiliated when his company received word that he was living in a house obtained through fraudulent divorce proceedings. HR put him on indefinite leave pending investigation. Claire tried to access her bank accounts, denied, the funds were frozen, pending court review of marital fraud. Even her car, which I had technically leased through my company, was towed from the driveway by nightfall. She went from queen of her new life to sleeping on her sister's couch trying to explain what went wrong. Emily faced her first cold dose of consequences. At 17, Emily had always sided with her mother, mostly out of comfort and influence. But when she realized her private school tuition was suddenly unpaid, her college trust fund had been revoked. I had set up a new one privately, but hadn't told her yet. And her mom couldn't even pay for gas. She finally reached out, this time, not with anger, but a voice message so soft, I played it twice to make sure I heard her. "Right, Dad? I'm sorry. I miss you. I didn't know things would end up like this." But I didn't respond. Not yet. Because revenge isn't just about reaction. It's about timing. I let them stew. For 2 more days, I said nothing. And on the 6th day, I walked into the same brunch restaurant where Claire had celebrated starting fresh, dressed in a tailored suit, smiling politely as I handed the server a sealed envelope addressed to her. Inside was a court summons, a list of revoked privileges, and a photo of her boyfriend getting into a cab with his bags packed, and a note, "Even parasites flee a sinking host." The look on her face, I was told, was priceless. Chapter 4. The Echo of an Empty House. It had been nearly a week since the avalanche started. Claire's kingdom, the one she smugly celebrated at that brunch table, had collapsed in slow motion, each brick falling with a thunderous echo only she could hear. But the worst wasn't legal, it was emotional. It was the silence, the absence of control, the terrifying realization that I wasn't fighting her anymore. Because I had already won. Claire's public collapse 2 days after receiving the court summons and the envelope at brunch. Claire showed up at my attorney's office uninvited, disheveled, sunglasses hiding puffy eyes, voice cracking with desperation. "He left me," she said. "The house is gone. The money's frozen. I have nothing." My attorney didn't blink. He simply handed her a copy of the updated legal motion. "Then, perhaps next time, don't file for divorce the same day your husband loses his job." especially when that husband had just come into $8 million and hadn't told you yet. Claire broke, he was never supposed to leave me. Your daughter reached out to her father yesterday. He replied calm, I suggest you get your own attorney. That was the moment it hit her. She hadn't just lost a man. She had burned the bridge to the only stability she'd ever known. Emily's heart starts to shift. I hadn't replied to Emily's texts or voice messages, but I was watching quietly. When she posted a story of her mother crying on the floor, captioned only with a broken heart emoji, I knew she wasn't just upset, she was ashamed. And when she showed up at my office the next afternoon, she didn't knock, she just stood in the hallway, hands trembling, eyes red. I said things I didn't mean, she whispered. I thought you were weak, Dad, but you were just quiet. I let her in, and for the first time in months, she hugged me, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Claire's fall went deeper, her boyfriend long gone. Turns out he had 2 other women on the side, and was only interested in Claire's lifestyle, not Claire herself, when the bank officially froze the joint accounts due to suspected fraud. Claire's credit cards bounced. Her lease application for a new apartment was denied. Even her own parents, who had once believed her story, refused to co-sign anything when they found out the truth. She had to move in with a cousin in a studio apartment miles from the city. Gone were the spa days, the charity brunches, the designer handbags. What she had now was debt, disgrace, and the haunting knowledge that she celebrated too soon. My peace didn't come from ruining her. It came from knowing I didn't lift a single cruel finger. No yelling, no begging, no scandalous revenge. I let her destroy herself with her own greed, her own lies, and her own arrogance. And I made sure every action I took was legal, calm, and cold. That's what broke her. Chapter 5. I didn't win, I survived. 3 weeks after Claire served me the divorce papers, I found myself standing on the cliff edge of my newly purchased mountain property. 60 acres of silence, fresh air, and something I hadn't felt in years. Peace, no alarms, no raised voices, no passive-aggressive silences, just me and a new beginning that didn't require an audience. The last letter, it arrived in an unmarked envelope, no return address. Inside was a handwritten letter from Claire. I thought I knew everything, I thought I had you figured out. But the man I married, the one who built a life quietly, patiently without drama, was never weak. I was. I chased glitter while you built gold. I don't expect forgiveness, but I do hope someday you'll let our daughter love you again without my shadow. I didn't cry, not because it didn't hurt, but because I had already let go. I folded the letter and tucked it into a drawer in my study, not as a trophy, but as a reminder of what silence can build and what ego can destroy. Emily came back one Saturday morning as I sipped coffee on my porch. A car pulled into the gravel driveway. Emily stepped out, no phone in hand, no eye rolls, no hesitation. I brought muffins, she said. And can we talk? We sat under the trees for an hour. She told me about the therapist she'd started seeing, about how ashamed she felt for choosing money over character, about how much she missed our Sunday mornings and stupid dad jokes. Mom used to say you were too boring to be loved, she confessed. But boring looks a lot like peace now. I didn't say much, just handed her a mug of coffee and smiled. This place is beautiful, Dad. You built this? Yes, quietly. The twist, the money was just the beginning. That $8 million, it wasn't even the whole story. What Claire never knew was that the severance from my job came with company shares, and my former company had just been acquired by a European tech giant. My total payout, $14.6 million. But the greatest wealth wasn't in numbers. It was in knowing that I had lived with integrity, that I hadn't tried to win the breakup. I just chose not to play the game at all. And in the end, that's what made me unstoppable. Epilogue. The lesson, revenge doesn't always need to be loud. Sometimes it's the quiet retreat, the signed silence, the slow rebuild. Claire wanted a villain. I became a ghost. And in doing so, I found my strength, not in what I took back from her, but in what I gave back to myself. Final reflection. They thought I was done, but I was just getting started. Real, cinematic, earned, emotional, and unforgettable. Was this revenge perfectly justified, or should the storm have raged harder? Drop your verdict below. I read every single one. Hit like if you crave justice, and share this story with someone who needs its fire. Subscribe to Lauren's story, because here, betrayals don't sleep. They hunt their owners. Every shadow hides a reckoning. Every mask breaks and every betrayal is answered. Stay sharp, stay unbroken.